Welcome to Winning Inside, the show where we follow the journey from feeling defeated to winning. Here are your hosts, Cheddy Matthews and Michelle Wickman.
Hello, amazing people. Welcome to the Winning Inside podcast, where we discuss real issues, insights, and solutions to help you thrive in your day-to-day lives. We know life happens, and we can choose to be a spectator or a participant.
These conversations and stories are about the participants, the ones who made the choice to do the inner work and found a way to keep moving forward. Thank you, everybody who is listening today. I wanted to put a little warning out there. Cheddy and I had a quick conversation before we started recording, and I was super fired up because he knows some of my hot points, hot buttons. This recording, although they all say explicit, and I don't know that we've yet to really even curse. This will curse. I will curse. So if you have children listening, or if you are offended by that, then please feel free to not listen and or save it for your personal listening pleasure.
Still share it though.
Yeah, still share it with people who are also not offended by cursing. I mean, I'm not going to curse at somebody, I guess. I don't know. I won't, but I just get super fired up. And for those who know me and still like me, you know that I curse, you know that I use those words, and this is where it's at. Okay. So welcome to our conversation on.
You're better than that. You're absolutely
really where it started.
Than that.
No, victims.
Yes.
Being a victim. And yes. I am not talking about being victimized, right? I'm not talking about surviving an assault, emotional, physical, sexual, emotional. I'm not talking about that. Cheddy and I have had many conversations, and someday we will get into some of those as well. I am straight up talking about how we allow ourselves to be victims to our circumstances or to the energy and actions of others.
Yes.
That is what we're talking about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And let me frame that a little bit. When we get into the self-victimization, when we get into living the life of a victim, not somebody who's had something happen to them, but someone who's living like a victim, you have three roles, three actors in that play. And in any of those scenes, you're going to have the victim, the perpetrator, and some form of savior. And in that triangle, sometimes the roles change who those people are. When they've been depleted, they may become a perpetrator. A victim may become a savior. People change in those roles. But you'll find that a lot of times you identify people in one of those roles. Someone can help me, somebody hurt me. And so if you're the person who's hurt, you're the victim. Somebody did it is the perpetrator. And somebody who's going to help you fix it is the savior, that kind of rescue person. And think about how that plays out in your life, how it makes you treat people, how you see people. But if you always stay in that and you don't empower people, but you look for help all the time, or you look to help all the time just for the sake of helping, are you making somebody stay in victimhood? Are you producing victims? Are you the cause of people's victimization? Think about it in those terms. And it's interesting because those hats can go on and off in a heartbeat.
They can actually change in the middle of an argument and a fight, right?
Ding, ding.
Yeah. Well, and the most interesting thing is in, really intimate relationships in particular, we have two people coming to the table during fights that feel victimized, right? You made me feel this way. Well, you made me feel this way. And then I don't need to get into the details of that, but where does that conversation go, right?
Downhill real
nowhere
Yeah.
Right, you just stay there because nobody's listening. Yes. Everybody just wants to be coddled and saved in that moment, right? So instead of focusing on making somebody else feel the emotion that you felt. It's more about where do we want to go, right? So that's how we move forward. But when I got super fired up before we started recording, is Cheddy called me out.
I did a Michelle to her. Yes, I did what she does to me.
Yes.
Felt so
he
good
called
too.
me. Oh, damn. He called me out. I mean, I called myself out a little bit before that. But then he called me out on the pattern of my behavior. And that is that I do not tolerate self-victimization or blaming circumstances for my reality and my state. I do not tolerate that with my loved ones.
Yes.
And so he's like, why is that? There's something deep inside. And I said, yeah, you're goddamn right. Right. And I have my own work still. And I will, and I know I've said this before. We have both said this before, right, Cheddy?
Yep.
We will always be working on ourselves.
Yes.
That is, regardless of the job that I have, or if I'm working, or where I am, I will always be working. And it takes really powerful people in my life, like Cheddy, to call me out and put me on the spot, which is what I need to have me pause and reflect on, where I can improve and better myself.
Yeah.
And the idea that I do not tolerate self-victimization in my loved ones and the people that I hold very dear to my heart is that, and this is where I went off. I said, Cheddy, I mean, tell me, can you repeat like what you were saying about like when I feel this way?
Yes. Okay. So there are times that I'm talking to Michelle and I'm going through my drama, my life, or whatever. And there are times when things just get heavy. And I might make a statement like, I don't know why things always happen to me like this. And I'll make some kind of a woe is me kind of a statement, no matter what it is. And she'll be like, like her whole tone. And you got to know, Michelle is extremely compassionate. I call her the soul whisperer. So she'll get you to talking. But if you start liking that conversation, so you want to get some more sympathy, and I feel really bad for myself right now, she'll be like, wait, hold on. Like her voice changes. Hold on. And everything pauses. She just stops. And in the midst of that, you might get one of these things. Stop being a bitch. What? And all of a sudden, when you're trying to look for sympathy, your eyes go wide open and you're just like, whoa. Oh,
first and foremost, I have to clarify, I do not say those words. And specifically, I do not say bitch, right?
That's how, okay.
But the energy of stop being a bitch is 100% there. That is so spot on that I couldn't have said it any better way. And my reaction to that is just like, I feel it in my body. I have a physical reaction.
Visceral response to it.
Yes. I feel it in my body. And he sees it. He sees it in my face and then he hears it in my tone. And you all can probably hear it in my tone too.
Oh, yeah.
Is that I'm just like, no, this is where I draw the line. I will draw a boundary for you because you're fucking better than that.
Yeah.
And I said, for Cheddy, he is a survivor. He is a better coach. He is a better man. He is a better veteran. He is a better human. It's like you feel it so intensely in your body. You have a loss of words and it just comes out in my energy in my face.
It comes out.
But you're fucking better than that.
Yeah.
And I can't want more for you than you want for yourself in life.
Yeah.
As coaches, we oftentimes find that we want more for our clients than they want for themselves. But at some point in time, that has to switch, right?
Yes.
That energy has to switch and they realize the possibilities and they start wanting and pursuing more for themselves than even I can imagine for them. And I often think that possibilities are limitless. So when I hear Cheddy or anyone that I love or anyone that I care about go to that place where they're just like, why is this always happening? How is this happening again? I just lose it. Just like, no, of course, anytime I have a strong reaction like that, I really do have to pause and reflect and look in the mirror. I mean, like literally look in the mirror and figuratively look in the mirror and say, okay, where is it that I am not necessarily verbalizing my self-victimization, but my choices are actually aligning with that self-victimization, right?
Yes.
So they're keeping me small, if you will. Like I don't have more control over my circumstances than my circumstances have over me. And that's where I'm like, that's probably why I get real triggered. And I'm like, don't come down here with me, Cheddy. But you're better than that.
But let's look at it. Those are words I've used with my own children. I use those words. People I love, I use those words. So when you said it and you said those, I was like, oh, I get it. First of all, I understood the visceral response. Like, get out of that loop, get out of that death spiral, if you wish. You're like free falling. Stop. And when you say it the way you said, it makes you stop for a second. Like, whoa, what did I do? Now you're back in reality. But then when you say when you go through the whole, why are you talking like that? And you kind of tell me off a little bit. Now I'm listening because you got my attention. So now I'm listening to your message. But then you end it with, you're better than that. It makes me realize a few things. A, she's right. I am better than that. And B, you absolutely, without a doubt, care about me. And then C, you believe in me. Those three things right there really can change the tide of someone's day, someone's life, someone's thoughts on a certain situation. Because you seriously will say that, like, stop. What are you doing? I care about you, therefore you're better than that. I know you're better than that. That's why I'm telling you you're better than that. And I believe in you that you're better than that. That says a lot. And it adds a lot of value. And your emotion comes from a place of valuing. Do you know that when you don't care about something, you're really unbothered by, like, okay, whatever. But when you care, you get really emotionally attached, and this visceral response is real because it's coming from the deepest parts of who you are. That's the limbic system talking. That's not the rational mind. That's even deeper than that. And that's why it's so powerful. But to have you believe that much in me or in one of your clients or someone that you love, when you say that and you go hard on them, is the best form of love. Holy smokes. It is so amazing. And I appreciate it. But yeah, I'll tell you, it doesn't feel nice to get kicked in your butt though. Because you hit me in the throat, you give me a throat punch, it hurts. Like, whoa. But I'm usually better for it. I'm going to say usually because I want to say that my feelings are hurt. But beyond that, I'm better for it.
Well, I think the amazing thing is that, again, your friend. I'm talking to our listeners. Like, we know our friends, right? We know how to approach them. And there is a certain level of trust that you've established with people. But when you look them in their eyes and you speak from your heart, everybody knows the difference. Everybody knows it, right? So connecting to that deep emotion, that deep connection, and speaking through that, even if it sounds intense, feels like love. It feels like love, and there's nothing stronger in this world. There is nothing stronger in this world than love.
Yes.
And so, connecting with that is an expression of love. Exactly. Holding people accountable to their best selves, to even when they're low, even when they're high, not necessarily saying nothing's good enough, but saying, I believe in you, that level of best self and that level of love and compassion, like that is what changes lives. It transforms and heals broken hearts. It connects people who have lost one another for many, many years. It reconnects families. That is the power of love. And when we self-victimize, we actually isolate ourselves from that love. Yes. So we have got to work to eliminate the fact that, we show up and we say, well, what can we do? There's nothing we can do. I guess I'm just going to live this life. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
We may not be the ones making the law right now. We may not be the ones that, have the higher up decision-making powers, whatever, but we have the power to choose how we show up every single day. Right. and
Yes.
how we communicate with others through love, strangers. How do we connect with strangers through love? People that we don't even care for, people that we may not even like what they say. How do we connect with them through love so that we can heal people? But if we sit in victimhood and say, you are victimizing me, versus I am empowered to
Yes.
speak from my heart, and I am empowered to show up in my life with the kind of energy and vibe that I desire to put into this world, then I just, I get so worked up. I'm sorry.
I love it. Don't apologize. This is great. It's good stuff. Because
we have the capacity to change the world, Cheddy. Like
Yes.
truly, every human.
Yes.
And that can be one connection at a time.
Yes.
But we have got to stop self-victimizing.
Yes. And I'll tell you, there's ways, let me throw out some ways that you can tell if you're self-victimizing. If you have a statement or you're making a comment and your comment has a lot of absolutes in it, it may not be the case, but it may make you want to consider, am I self-victimizing? Nobody
Give an
loves
example
me.
of what an absolute is.
Yeah. You always treat me this way. You always say bad things to
Yes.
me. I never have a good time when I do this. You always hurt me. When you use words like always, never, those kind of absolutes where there's no variation, it's probably an exaggeration. But what it's doing is it's trying to tell you that there's no good there. And when you talked about there being no love, if you say that people always hate me, you have basically shut the door on any opportunity for someone to love you. Because in your world, you've just said that's not a reality. And it's not true. Those things aren't true. So always try to reconsider framing a question in a way where this may be bad, where Michelle may have hurt me some way, but she doesn't always hurt me. Because those are two different statements. And I have the power to address the issue and say, Michelle, you hurt me when you called me a circus clown. Just saying. But she hasn't called me a circus
nobody
clown.
likes clowns.
I'm scared of clowns. So, she knows this. But I'm laughing about clowns now. But if you say that in a way where it's, Michelle, you hurt me in this area, I can address that. But
Yes.
if I say she always hurts me, I've just basically said, I'll follow on with that is, Michelle always hurts me and there's nothing I can do about that. That's the part that you don't say, but it's a continuation of what you're saying. So you're basically taking away all power that you have, but you always have power. And you may not have power of what happens to you, but you definitely have power of how you respond, how you react, how you deal with that, how you frame it, how you recover from it, how you process it. Those are things that you do have control over. So sometimes you're going to take the power where you have the power. And I'll give you a simple analogy. You may not be able to control the weather, but you can choose to bring an umbrella or to wear sunscreen. Those are choices you have. So in that construct, you have control to make things more the way you would like them than not. So you do have power, but you have to look for those opportunities to regain that, because that's where you make the change in the world. And you don't want to be like driftwood in the water, just floating from here to there. And when you use absolutes and you become a victim, you are susceptible to everybody else's control over you. All kinds of situations control you, vice the other way around. You having a vote in your life, and you do have a vote in your life. You have control over your attitude and your actions. Maybe not the circumstances, but your attitude and your actions can dictate how you deal with those circumstances. And believe me, sometimes we think that circumstances, if I had this or that, things would be better. There are people, believe me, there are people low on all spectrums, all countries, all ages. Believe me, Michelle, we see common life issues, no matter socioeconomics, no matter demographics, no matter age, no matter background. People deal with human issues. So therefore, thinking that if I was in this situation, it'd be better. Well, maybe, maybe not. Because there are people who have less than you that are doing better than you. There are people that have more than you that are doing worse than you, and any other combination of that. So all I'm going to say to you is, take the power back to not be a victim. Identify it if you hear yourself using that victimization language, or you find yourself in a cycle where you just always feel like you're getting victimized, and see what you can do to change that and take some of that power back. And it just takes one step. And the reason being is because you are absolutely and definitely and positively better than that. That I can't say. So we're going to make this short and sweet. And I just want to let you know, if you've enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe, follow, share, and most importantly, use whatever adds value to your amazing life.
Remember, even if life puts barriers in our way, we are still moving forward. Sign in each week for a new episode of Winning Inside.
Thank you for listening to Winning Inside with Cheddy Matthews and Michelle Wickman. If you enjoyed today's show, please make sure to click the follow button, rate and review at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, or wherever you get your podcast. You can connect with Cheddy and Michelle at winninginside.io. Keep listening. Another episode is coming soon.